Hello friends, and welcome to Miss Debbie's Storybook STEM class. I'm so happy you're here to join me. Before we get started with our lesson, let's sing our hello song. Here goes. It's time to wave our hands and say hello, hello. It's time to wave our hands and say hello, hello. I'm so happy that you are here. Are you ready to have some fun? Let's smile and wave our hands and say hello. Hello friends, and welcome again to Miss Debbie's Storybook STEM class, where we always find a little bit of science in every book we read. Today's book is called 10 on a Sled. 10 on a sled? That's a lot of people on one sled going down a hill. I thought it would be fun to read a book about sledding because winter is right around the corner and pretty soon snow is going to be on the ground and people are going to be sledding. So sledding involves so much science. Why do we only sled in the winter? Good question, isn't it? You have to think about that. We only sled in the winter because the hills are slippery. We can slide down the hill on the snow. Can we slide down a hill of grass as fast as we could slide down a hill of snow? Probably not. So that leads me to our scientific word of the day. Grass on a hill gives us a little more friction than snow would. Friction, that's our scientific word of the day. What is friction? Friction basically is something that stops your movement between two objects that are in contact with each other. Depending on how smooth the objects are, that will determine how fast you can move or how slow you can move. If two objects are rough, then the movement is going to be a little bit slower than two objects that are really smooth and they're rubbing up against each other. Now I'm going to give you an example of this. If you put your two hands together, they're nice and smooth. Rub them together. You can rub them together pretty fast, can't you? Actually, the more you rub them together, the warmer it gets. But if you rub your hands together, it's pretty much smooth friction. Now, if Miss Debbie chose two different objects to rub together with two different surfaces, the bottom of this sneaker is not as smooth as the bottom of my hand. And I am going to choose this board here. It's got like a little bit of a rug on it. So if I rub these two objects together, it doesn't go as smooth or as fast as when I rub my two hands together. So friction is happening here, and it's slowing down the movement of the sneaker and the rug. So that's where science gets involved with sledding. So let's get started and read our story about 10 on a sled. 10 on a sled. This is written by Kim Norman, and it's illustrated by Lisa Woodruff. Here we go. 10 on a sled. That's a lot of people on one sled. There were 10 on the sled, and the caribou said, "Slip over, slide over." So they all slid over, and Seal spilled out. Oof, there goes Seal. Now pay attention to this snowman here that this squirrel has made. It looks like the top of the snowman is about to fall off. Let's see what happens to that snowball as our friends are sliding down the hill. There were 9 on the sled till Hare hopped out. Hop, says Hare. Do you see the snowball? He's coming down the hill. Let's see what happens. There were 8 on the sled till Sheep shot out. Pew, says Sheep. There he goes. It looks like one of the friends is stuck in the snowball. Let's see what happens There were 7 on the sled till Walrus whirled out. Whee, says Walrus. Do you see that snowball? I don't see the snowball on this page. Let's see what happens. There were 6 on the sled till Fox flipped out. Flip, says Fox. There's the snowball. It's getting bigger, and all of the friends are getting caught up in that snowball. There were 5 on the sled till Squirrel squeezed out. Squeeze, says Squirrel, and he landed flat on his back. Do you see that snowball? Oh, I see it over here in the corner. It's getting bigger. There were 4 on the sled till Wolf wiped out. Oh, Wolf! Look at how fast they're going. Can you see the lines behind them? They're going really fast. And look at the size of that snowball. There were 3 on the sled till Moose muddled out. There goes Moose. And there goes that snowball. It's getting bigger and bigger. There were only 2 on the sled till Bear bailed out. Bear jumped off the slide. And look at all the friends. I think they're going faster than the sled is now. It's getting heavier and it's moving faster. Look at that. There was 1 on the sled, and the caribou said, I'm lonely. Just 1 is no fun. Look at what happened to that big snowball. It broke apart. And it looks like with only 1 on the sled, it stopped. It's not moving anymore. So 1 through 10 all leaped on again for 1 more run in the midnight sun. The end. Well, that was a fun book to read. Miss Debbie would love to go sledding with that many friends. Would you like to try that? I bet we'd go really fast down that hill. Hopefully there's a lot of friction at the bottom to stop us. So we're going to start with our STEM activities now. We'll see you in a minute. Welcome back. Now it's time for our activities. And this is going to be a really fun activity because we are going to be making our own sled. Now, in order to make a sled, we are going to need the following supplies. You don't have to have all of these supplies, just as many as you can. Miss Debbie has different types of surfaces for the bottom of our sled. I have a piece of felt here, coffee filters. I have a little rubber mat here, some construction paper, a towel, a plastic baggie, and whatever else you can think of. Now we're also going to need a base for our sled. You can use many different things for that. You can use a Tupperware bowl. You can use a simple paper plate. Any size will do. Miss Debbie has a paper bowl here. And I also have an egg carton that I've cut 4 circles out of. Anything that you choose should be a little bit on the lighter side for the base of your sled. You are also going to need something to attach the surface that you've chosen to the base. Miss Debbie has some paper clips here, and I also have some binder clips. If you don't have either of those and you have some tape, that would work just as fine. Now, the first thing you're going to do is choose your base. And you can make more than one sled because we are going to try out our sleds on different surfaces to see what the friction is like. So, I'm going to first start off with an egg carton. Miss Debbie has a finished sled here. Doesn't look really pretty, but it serves the purpose of testing friction. So I am going to choose my egg carton base, And then I think that I might do a coffee filter. So I've got my coffee filter. I can nestle it right in here. And then to keep it attached when it goes down the mountain, I am going to use some paper clips. So you're just going to fold it over and attach the paper clip here to get it to stay. Don't push it too far down so it gets in the way of the sled and the mountain. And just like so, you have your own sled. Simple enough. It's just to test out the different surfaces. And I like the egg carton because later on when we test our sleds to see how fast they go, we're also going to add some weight to the sled by using either some glass beads or pennies or rocks, anything that you can think of, and that can hold them in there nicely, like our 10 friends on the sled. And we can hold them in our sled without them falling off while they go down the hill. So that's one idea for a sled. Another one is to simply use a Tupperware bowl. You can keep the surface like this, the plastic surface, and test that. Or you could add a piece of paper to the bottom. And you can do the same thing. This one might work a little bit better by using some tape. Idea for a sled that we could use. Another one that's super simple is a paper plate. And you can use maybe a plastic baggie and put that at the bottom of the paper plate. You can also test out the paper plate first without the baggie on the bottom to test and see how fast the paper goes down your mountain. And you can attach this either using your binder clips or paper clips and have tons of fun with that. So our scientific word of the day is friction. And we have learned that friction is basically something that stops movement between two objects that are in contact with each other. So for instance, two objects would maybe be the plastic here and my table. And when they are in contact with each other, that means they touch each other. And movement means that one is moving against the other. So it's moving on top of the other object. Now, if the surfaces of the objects are smooth, like this smooth plastic here and the smooth table, they will usually go a little bit faster. But if the objects are rough and they're moving against each other, like maybe this rubber mat, and let's say this towel is my mountain, and we push, the objects are rougher. So that causes more friction and it makes the sled go slower down the hill. Now, can you think of things on the hill that could cause friction? Not on the bottom of our sled, but something on the hill that might cause friction and make our sled go down the hill a little bit slower. There's some bumpy stuff that might stick out of the snow. It's not brown like this. Well, it could be brown like this. There could be some dirt sticking out, or something that looks like this. Some grass. Yeah, the grass is bumpy. It's not really smooth. And if your sled hits some grass, that might cause it to slow down. Another thing might be maybe a rock that's underneath the snow that you hit and it causes your sled to slow down. And also, let's see here, there could be some soft snow. The snow might not be packed down and slippery, and it might be fresh snow that's just come down from the sky, and it's really soft and fluffy, and that might cause your sled to slow down as well. So there are all different ways that friction exists between your sled and the snow. So now that we're done making our sled, we are going to test our sled on all different kinds of mountains that we can make from objects around our house. And we are going to test to see how fast those different sleds go down different types of surfaces. Here goes. Now that we've made our sleds, here comes the fun part. We are going to test out all of our sleds to see which surface causes less friction and which sled goes the fastest. Now, Miss Debbie has simply put a box on my table here, and I've used a foam board. You can use anything. You could use a book. You could use other surfaces to have your sled slide down. And if it doesn't stay put, you can always use some painter's tape on the bottom, on the side, so it doesn't interfere with the sled going down. But that's a way that you could hold it in place. So now what you're going to do is test out your different sleds that you've made. Here's my egg carton sled with my coffee filter. I'm going to start it on the top here and let it go. That went kind of fast. Let's compare it with the egg carton sled with the tinfoil on the bottom. Went a little bit faster, and I'm going to try my paper slide now. And Miss Debbie is also going to show you another way that we could test out our sleds with an even bigger mountain that we could make. Well, now that we've made our sled or sleds, if you've made more than one, we are going to test them out. And our challenge is to see which sled travels down our mountain fastest. So we have tried out different surfaces. This one has the felt on the bottom. I'm going to try this one out. And this one has a coffee filter on the bottom. So you can either try them out individually and put them at the top of your mountain and let them go. That one went pretty fast. And I'm going to try the felt one. That one went pretty fast too, but I feel like it went a little bit slower than the coffee filter went. So now what Miss Debbie can do is try them both at the same time and put them both at the top of my mountain here and let them go. It looks like the one with the coffee filter on it was a little bit faster. Once you've got that done, then you can experiment with the weight of your sled and see if that makes a difference with how fast your sled goes down the hill. So we can, Miss Debbie has some glass beads here. You can use pennies, rocks, toys, anything that you can hold in your sled. That's why I like the idea of an egg carton, because it has little compartments here that can hold the items in. So Miss Debbie's going to start by putting 2 glass beads into each compartment here. And I'm going to see if it goes a little bit faster. And this is the one with the felt here. Ooh, that went pretty fast. I lost some of my friends off the sled. Another idea for a makeshift mountain would be to use a yoga mat. If you don't have a yoga mat, there's so many other things that you could use. You could use an old cardboard box. You could maybe use a cork board. Miss Debbie has a cork board here that she uses. There's some styrofoam boards that you can get at the dollar store, and lots of big pieces of poster board that you could use too. And a helpful idea to help your mountain stay in place is to use some painter's tape. Miss Debbie has attached this to the top of her table here with some painter's tape, and I've also put some on the bottom to hold it securely in place. You don't have to use a table to attach it to as well. You could also use a chair. So now we are going to test out different surfaces and to see what happens with friction when we use a yoga mat. I have also included a printable so that we can have some fun with math and 10 on a sled. This is a printable, and you are trying to get the animals to the sled. You can use anything for a game piece, something that you have in a game already, or Miss Debbie has these glass beads that I got from the dollar store. You're going to need a die. If you don't have a die, playing cards always come in really handy. And you can play by yourself or you can play with a partner. And all you are going to do is either flip over your cards and pick a card. Miss Debbie got a 2. So now I have to move 2 spaces. 1, 2. If you have a die, you could roll your die. Oops, I landed on my piece. But it looks like I got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So now I'm going to move ahead 6 spaces. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I landed on the bunny rabbit here. And number 2 landed on, it looks like a fox. So that's a fun game that you can do and practice your math skills. Miss Debbie had so much fun with you reading our book 10 on the Sled and learning about all the science that's involved in sledding. So until I see you again next week, my friends, let's sing our goodbye song. Here goes. It's time to wave our hands and say goodbye, goodbye. It's time to wave our hands and say goodbye, goodbye. We've had lots of fun, my friends, and we'll do it all again. It's time to wave our hands and say goodbye. Goodbye, friends. Until I see you again next week, stay happy and healthy. Bye.